What's cracking, guys? Samurai607 here, throwing at you a new One Piece video. So today, we're going to be talking about Zoro. After chapter 1009 and 1010 of One Piece especially, there have been a lot of questions about just how powerful the right-hand man of the future Pirate King is. And since I've already brought up Luffy, I think that's the perfect place to start. I'm not going to be making this a Luffy versus Zoro video. Right now, as of the end of the chapter, I personally put Luffy as being stronger than Zoro with everything we've seen. Making it a matchup, there's all of the advantages and disadvantages, which come with their skill sets. I'm not going to be diving into those. I just want to talk about how strong Zoro is as an individual. Okay, moving on. The most prominent thing which we're going to be using to discuss how strong Zoro is leaving a scar on Kaido. I plan on making this a short video because, well, we're going off like 2 pages of the manga here. He was able to scar Kaido, something which only Oden was able to do before with his Togen Totsuka. And that was Oden presumably at his full power when he made that attack on Kaido. We know this was definitely as strong as Zoro could get, especially considering how injured he was. So if we know that scarring him is like some level of feat there, I think when healthy and his body is not crying everywhere, he doesn't take a haki from Big Mom and Kaido, this is the type of damage Zoro should be able to put out. Like, okay, I'd say that's a good 70%. I'm not going to call it half, even if he was on the brink of death when making the attack, because Zoro has his ways of squeezing juice into all of his attacks. But, yeah, I'd like to believe that was most of his attack power, even while he was injured. If he was healthy, I think he could deal at least as much damage as Oden's Togen Totsuka, as a comparison there. And then this brings us to the 9 sword style, his Kyutoryu. I don't remember the name of it in Japanese. I don't think I actually read it in Japanese, but he used the demonic Ashura 9 sword style, Hell Hake, Farce of the Dead. I am not in a position to be comparing this to the other attacks he was using, but 9 sword style we've always known is pretty strong. It's our first time seeing it post time skip, which shows just how powerful Kaido is, which isn't something we were really unaware of. Zoro was able to use this to damage him. I think Zoro could have damaged him even without using the 9 sword style, because the first attack Kaido actually dodged in this battle, and I'm not sure if he had dodged any attacks in the entire manga before that one. But that was an attack from Zoro when he was wielding Enma. I brought this up in my chapter review. I'm not sure if I can't remember what I said. I still haven't gone back to check if he was using only Enma, but I know Enma was the most prominent sword in that attack, and that's going to be the next thing we're bringing up. So with every time Zoro has brought out 9 sword style, this is something we need to talk about. Can he maintain that form, or is it like a one and done thing, like one attack and he's back to normal? Because given previously he only needed one attack to finish off the enemy, and this time he was in no condition to continue fighting. Even if he didn't use the 9 sword style, I'd say a few more seconds and he'd have been on the ground. Obviously, like, it strains his body to some extent, because he could at least continue standing before, but it's not a good point of reference to try to figure out how damaging it is to him when used in this fight. But now that we brought up Enma, let's move on to that. This is what the video is really going to be about, and what do we want to focus on? The effects of Enma. So previously, when Zoro had first drawn the blade from its sheath, it sucked the haki right out of his arm. Trying to control its power was difficult. No one else had been able to do it, though Zoro managed to get a grip on it. And he was able to like pull his haki back into it, but we could tell that Enma had the ability to draw people's haki out. So in this chapter, we notice before Zoro uses his nine sword style, his Enma is given a special highlight panel when it's coated in this special aura. It's not the same black which usually surrounds blades when Zoro's using the armament haki. It was this white aura which we only see every now and then, I believe, especially in the manga, which isn't as exaggerated with auras as it is in the anime. Now, why did Oda only choose to show Enma doing this? It's because I believe Enma was drawing out his haki, and unlike the time with his armament, it's not something Zoro could control because he wasn't aware of that haki in the first place. I think that was Enma pulling out his conqueror's haki. Because when the farce of the dead hit Kaido and was able to scar him, Kaido turns to Zoro and is shocked and he says, "It can't be. You have Conqueror's haki too." And at this moment, we're all losing our minds collectively. Don't pretend you weren't as well. But in that moment, okay, we'll talk about the haki on its own later, but I'd like to believe Enma was pulling out his conqueror's haki. Zoro, because of the way he responds to Kaido, shows that he's unaware of having any conqueror's haki. So that may have been all he had in him. And it was being brought out more by Enma than by himself, which is what helped bolster the attack power. He even goes on to say he just attacked with everything he had in him, which shows he wasn't trying to withdraw anything from Enma, so it pulled out every bit of haki he had and tried to use that to damage Kaido. With this being the case, it means that, okay, how am I going to put this? This being the case, it means he probably can't control it yet, but if Enma was able to draw it out, it means somewhere deep in there he does have Conqueror's haki. Is he going to be using it from now on? I'm not sure. The only other person on the crew who has use of Conqueror's haki is Luffy, but I don't imagine he'd be a very good teacher. It would also just be very awkward to see Luffy teaching Zoro. I'm not sure how that would play out. I know Zoro, like as we could tell from during the time skip when he asked Mihawk to teach him, has no reservations about abandoning his pride if it's for the sake of becoming stronger to help Luffy become the Pirate King. But even beyond like whether or not he'd be willing to, I just don't see quite exactly how well it would work, Luffy teaching Zoro. But yeah, beyond that, I think Enma is the one responsible for this. So going off of that, when he had Shusui instead, would he have been able to draw out the same power using his 9-sword style at any point between the time skip and right now? I don't think so. Because he's not able to control Conqueror's haki, so he wouldn't have been able to attack with that. Would he have been able to bring out a large chunk of the power he was using? I do believe so. So there are two ways we can look at this. One, Enma was the blade responsible for drawing out his Conqueror's haki. If that is correct, then Zoro has just been Zoro this whole time while he was wielding Shusui. He would not have been able to bring out this type of power against, say, Doflamingo during the Dressrosa arc, against Caesar Clown, against Hody Jones. Okay, those last two were not quite the strongest opponents, so it wouldn't have been necessary, but yeah, if he had gone to Whole Cake Island, he wouldn't have been able to bring that power out against Katakuri or Big Mom. But then, if he was capable of bringing out the same degree of power, because let's keep in mind, he hasn't had any serious fights or time to engage in extreme training since the time skip, so most of his abilities should be the same as they were at Fishman Island, except for Enma being his one change. And if we say that Enma wasn't drawing out his haki and it was just a blade and he attacked as he normally would, I think then that might mean that he had been the strongest guy on the crew after all for all of these years since the time skip, like the last 10 plus. I don't remember when exactly it was. Might have been around, I was about to tell a 2011, 2010 October, maybe somewhere around there. Yeah, so if Enma, but let's not get into that theorizing aspect too much. I'm just going to put it out there. I think that's what was going on. Enma drawing out the haki. We will wait to see about that. But yes, now moving on to Conqueror's haki. Do we think he'll be able to use it in the future? Yes. I believe Zoro will become prominent in the use of Conqueror's haki. Do we think it will be in the near future? I'm not so sure. Knocking a couple people out, maybe. The same control Luffy had of conquerors at Fishman Island, I don't see happening soon because Luffy had Rayleigh to guide him, and he seemed to have a greater talent in the use of conqueror's haki than Zoro did. And we also go back to Oda talking about Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji and what their specialties in haki were, where Zoro's was armament, Sanji's was observation. I don't think Oda said, I'm not sure if Oda specified either of the two for Luffy, but then I'm pretty sure we all went toward conquerors, whether he said it out loud or not. And going off of that, it means that for Luffy it's more of an innate talent, so he'd probably be using it much better than Zoro would. Though I do think Zoro will be able to reach Luffy's current level, given time, because it's the only way he's going to be able to become the strongest swordsman, beating out foes like Mihawk. Okay, so that's been Conqueror's haki. Are there more applications than coating attacks and knocking out enemies? That remains to be seen. If it can be mixed in with the attack prowess of armament, maybe Conqueror's haki could be used in some way joined to observation haki. That remains to be seen. Heh, seen, observation. You see what I did there? Okay, it could be used to enhance it in some way, who knows? But it also could be used as added defense on top of armament, since if you can coach your attacks in it, you might be able to coach yourself in it and just have whatever kind of bubble Kaido and Big Mom always have, which makes them iron balloons and vulnerable to damage. This could be shown to be haki and not just their physical states. When we think about Whole Cake Island and how Big Mom took damage when Mother Caramel's photo was knocked over, I'm not talking about during the wedding, but like previously, it might mean that her mind was in such disarray that it disabled her conquerors or armament, or both, which had been protecting her body constantly otherwise. Yeah. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for sticking around. Comment down below how strong you think he is. That noise should not have happened, whoops. But I'm going to put healthy Zoro right now at Oden level. Take that how you will. I'm not going to get into the Oden versus Kaido debate, but I'm going to put healthy Zoro at Oden level. If he's capable of dealing out damage, which is on the scale of Oden's Togen Totsuka, he's been shown to have mad endurance because he could tank the Ocean Sovereignty, the Hakai from Big Mom and Kaido combined. He's been taking out punishment for a lot of this arc. He started taking damage from all the way back when Apu was using his Devil Fruit against them, and more since then. Over the course of this fight, Zoro was taking a lot of hits. Zoro usually gets them. Oda, I know you love giving him the feats of strength, and you have to hold him back somehow by wounding him, but you gotta give Zoro one arc, just one arc, where he comes out without being so mortally wounded. Like, bro, throw the brother a bone. Okay, yeah. So that's it for today, folks. Comment down below what you thought about this, how strong you think Zoro is, and that's going to be it for today. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. I appreciate all forms of criticism. It helps the channel grow. Follow me on Twitter. Support your boy on Patreon so I can have some gas money and not be stuck in the house all the time. And thanks for watching, guys. This has been Samyuk607. logging out.